Hey guys, what's cracking? It's Krakenation here. I'm coming at you guys today to talk about COALOSSAL. This is the next installment of our competitive analysis videos where we're taking a look at Pokemon from the new Generation 8 Pokemon Sword and Shield games and then analyzing what makes them competitively viable and some sets maybe you could bring, so what attributes are going to be good and what options you're going to want to consider when team building with these Pokemon in mind. So with that in mind, thank you guys so much for sticking around and watching these videos. It's been absolutely awesome to see all the support I'm getting. If you want to continue to support me making these videos, hoping to teach you guys more about competitive Pokemon, be sure to drop a subscription. By doing that, you're also going to be keeping up to date with everything that I'm doing in Pokemon Sword and Shield. And I've got a lot planned, guys, so you definitely want to stay tuned for that. Make sure to join our Discord community if you're interested in that too. That's a good way to stay up to date with what I'm doing, as well as become a part of our Pokemon community. So, without further ado, let's get into COALOSSAL. So COALOSSAL is kind of like the rhyperior of this generation, I suppose. It's going to be a fire and rock type. So that's an interesting typing. Typing we've seen before with things like Macargo for sure. But this is an interesting new spin on it, for absolutely a very interesting new spin on it. So we're going to see how that goes. It's got a few interesting abilities. Steam Engine is its kind of like signature ability, and what that does is every time you get hit by a fire or water type attack, your speed gets boosted not by one stage, not by two stages, but by 3 whole stages. And so that's going to be really interesting, because even with a Pokemon as slow as COALOSSAL, your speed's going to be at very dangerous levels if you can switch into a fire type attack specifically. Now, you probably won't be switching COALOSSAL into any water type attacks, because most water type attacks will absolutely annihilate it. So you're going to have a hard time using Steam Engine with water moves, but I think if you can catch it with on a fire move switching, it's going to be really quite good. Its other abilities are Flame Body, which is going to give 30% chance to burn your opponents if they make contact with you. And then its final ability is Flash Fire, which is going to give you a 50% attack boost to fire type attack if you're ever hit by a fire attack in general. And it's going to give you a fire immunity as well. So notably, Steam Engine does not give you immunities to water or fire types. That's going to be something that is going to definitely hold this Pokemon back a lot. I'm just going to actually double check that because I want to make sure. Because that's something that's going to be kind of hold this Pokemon back. If Steam Engine did happen to give a Pokemon immunity, yeah, it does not. So I just want to double check that. So it did happen to give a Pokemon immunity, then it would have been a lot better, but unfortunately it does not, so we're going to have to keep that in mind. Let's go ahead and take a look at this thing's stats though. HP 110 is pretty solid, pretty great defensive bulk, really actually quite excellent physically defensive bulk with 110 HP and 120 defense. 80 in both offenses is not spectacular. It's usable, but definitely quite lacking. 90 special defense. It's also quite bulky on the special side, so very good mixed bulk. And then 30 speed is quite abysmal. But like we discussed, if you can get a Steam Engine hit off with something, you might be able to turn this into quite the hard hitter. So the first thing we want to talk about today is some notable moves. So Earth Power and Earthquake, what's nice about it is it's got physical and special moves on both sides. So you can run Earth Power or Earthquake. You can run Fire Blast or Flare Blitz, Flamethrower alternately, Fire Punch. Iron Head and Heavy Slam are 2 really good options. It's got access to Scald, which is awesome. Stone Edge is another really good move it gets. What's interesting is it's got access to basically complete control over the hazard game. So Rapid Spin will let you clear hazard off your side of the board and also give you a +1 speed boost. Not that a +1 speed boost is very relevant on COALOSSAL, but it is there if you want it. It also gets access to Stealth Rocks and Spikes, like I said, and that's going to be really awesome because you can control the hazard game on your opponent's side of the field quite effectively. Other moves it gets include Will-O-Wisp, if you wanted to burn your opponent, whittle down their physical defense, and then also Body Press is going to be a pretty good move to run on COALOSSAL as a fighting type move because it's going to scale with this Pokemon's defensive stat, and that's going to be pretty high because it does have that high defense. So let's go ahead and take a look at some sets I've cooked up for you guys today. The first one we're going to take a look at here is the Steam Engine set that I made, and this is going to run a Life Orb for its item to really maximize its offensive potential. Because COALOSSAL's attack set is not that high, you're going to want to run a Life Orb when you're really an offensive set. This set's going to utilize Steam Engine, obviously we talked about. If you get hit by a fire type move, you can't be switching this thing into water type moves. So unfortunately you're going to have to only use that fire type side of it, but if you can switch the thing into a fire type move, this thing's all of a sudden going to become very fast, very bulky, and like hopefully pretty hard hitting. That's why we're going to run 252 attack, 252 speed, and Jolly Nature. Earthquake is pretty nice. It's going to achieve really good coverage, and then Stone Edge and Flare Blitz will just round out that coverage very nicely. In the final spot, we can decide between Body Press and Iron Head. Iron Head will let you do with those fairy types pretty well, but Body Press will give you some alternative coverage options also. So it's really up to you what you want to decide with on that last spot. But I would say your choices are really between those two moves. So next up, I've got another set, and this is going to be a utility attacker set. And I put actually a leftovers for the item here, and I put Flame Body or Flash Fire. But really, another option you could do is like maybe even run Steam Engine on this set and try to get a speed increase all of a sudden. Another option you could do is run a berry, attack roving berry. So for example, you could do like a Pasho berry to take a water hit on. Even on that previous set, you could do a Pasho berry and take that water type attack on. Although I think Coalossal, when it's trying to be offensive like that previous set was, you really want to try to maximize your offensive stats because 80 is just not that good on its own. Here I've got Flame Body or Flash Fire. Take your pick. Basically give you some options to be pretty good defensively, give you a new immunity to take advantage of, and also boost your fire type attacks, or that Flame Body for that burn chance on contact. We're going to run 252 HP and 252 special attack with a modest nature, because I like the idea of not running Flare Blitz on this set, but maximizing your offensive capabilities nonetheless. So I opted to go with the special attacking variant, so that way you can avoid that recoil damage of Flare Blitz. You're going to be able to run Stealth Rocks on this set. It's going to be a pretty decent rocker. Then in the last spot, we're going to pick Earth Power and Fire Blast because they're going to be pretty good moves to run in general. Fire Blast being your go-to move. And in the last spot, you can do Spikes or Rapid Spin. Rapid Spin would be good as a hazard clearing option, but if you wanted to go all out on the hazard setting, you could go with Spikes. So let's analyze everything we just looked at right now with some pros and some cons. Obviously, some pros are going to be that the Pokemon has some great mixed attacking options. It's got good mixed bulk as well. Quite excellent mixed bulk, actually, if I'm being honest. And it's got complete control over the hazard game, having access to both Stealth Rocks and Spikes, as well as Rapid Spin. Finally, it's got some pretty good offensive potential with Steam Engine. Definitely not like crazy hard hitting, but thanks to Steam Engine, because it becomes so fast, you're going to be pretty happy to see this Pokemon get a Steam Engine boost and then get rolling. Unfortunately, there are some cons. Ooh, that's a yawn. Unfortunately, there are some cons to this Pokemon. Like with any Pokemon, it's got a pretty poor defensive typing, leaving with a lot of common weaknesses to things like ground or water, fighting, rock type, a lot of really common offensive weaknesses. It's got pretty bad offensive stats. 80s is going to be pretty underwhelming a lot of the time. It's also pretty hard to set up Steam Engine. Like I was talking about, you can't really switch this thing into water types. That's not going to happen. So you're going to have to utilize Steam Engine by switching into a fire type attack, and that's going to be quite a small scenario for this move to be, for the set to achieve use. Because how many times in the average game are you predicting fire type attacks that successfully? I would venture not as much. So you're gonna have a hard time picking a good fire move to switch into, I think. So that's gonna make this set a little hard to set up. Finally, it is also quite slow without that, so you're gonna be really slow, and that's gonna be something that holds this Pokemon back. So for some team options, I think the best teammate for Coalossal will be any grass type. Grass types will share a lot of defensive synergies with Coalossal. Grass types are weak to fire types notably, so you'll get a good chance to activate that Steam Engine if you switch into a grass type. Alternatively, Coalossal can switch into ice types also for that Pokemon, as well as bug types, and then proceed to pound those Pokemon into the ground with its fire stab. Also, grass types can switch into both ground and water moves for Coalossal, so Coalossal will really appreciate grass types as partners. Ground resists are also just pretty good in general. Good ground resist will be a really good partner for Coalossal because it is 4 times weak to ground. So I think that's going to be something you want to take note of. It's got 2 4 times weaknesses, and that's going to really hold it back. So you're going to want to pair with those. Hazard clears are also good. Coalossal is weak to Stealth Rocks, so you're going to want to pair it with hazard clearing if it isn't already your hazard clear itself. In which case, it's also not a great hazard clear because it is weak to those hazards. So big threats, like we talked about, water types and ground types are basically the 2 biggest threats to Coalossal. There's also obviously hazards are a big issue for it. And also powerful wall breakers will be a problem for Coalossal just because its bulk is fantastic but does not have access to reliable recovery. So powerful neutral attacks can overwhelm it eventually as it gets whittled down more and more. But let me know what you guys thought about this video. Sorry about the yawns. I'm recording this a little bit later at night now, and it's been a quite hectic couple of days. I've been trying to pump out as many of these videos as possible. But let me know if you guys enjoyed this video. What do you guys think about Coalossal? I think it's a little underwhelming, honestly. I definitely think it's competitively viable. I think it's going to end up being more of an NU, PU level mon, though. Like, I can't imagine this being better than rhyperior, which is the obvious comparison. Steam Engine's going to have to carry it pretty hard, but I think Steam Engine is just a little too niche in its usage. But I would still definitely recommend that you try this Pokemon and let me know what you think about it in the comment section below. Drop a subscription if you want to stay up to date with everything that I'm doing. And until next time, I will see you guys later. Krakenation out.